Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Early this afternoon, downtown roads were closed by both Fairbanks police and fire personnel after a call was received that there was a possible robbery at Mac Federal Credit Union.
Now, police say the suspect had entered the building and presented himself as armed. We have more this evening as details are still emerging. Cushman Street and 11th Avenue were blocked early this afternoon as the police responded to an armed robbery at the downtown Mac Federal Credit Union.
Officers responded. We had a pretty quick response, but by the time we got there, suspect had already left. He did represent himself as being armed to the teller at the bank. So we began a track that led us to several other leads throughout the course of the morning into the early afternoon. We had a cab driver actually picked up a person that matched the description of our suspect. And he ended up taking him in the area of the roundup.
Around 12 p.m., Roundup Roadhouse and saloon owners say police ascended on the property.
Went out to the parking lot because the police had stopped one of our delivery drivers and looking through his bag, and I was like, okay. And then when our cook went out, he'd gone out first, and then I'd gone behind him, and that's when they told us that the bank had been robbed. And then ultimately, through the course of their being here, they had said that it was an ex-employee and who had taken a cab here.
Suspected robber Zach Rose was previously employed at the Roundup Saloon.
And Zach Rose was a server for us for about 7-8 months. He was leaving town, that's why he's not working with us anymore. And he's been about 6 weeks he's been saying he's leaving town. He was waiting for some kind of check or something from the military because he was due money.
Renee Lord says it was not uncommon for Rose to visit the bar of the establishment.
He just said when he walked over to the bar, he said, "Hi, Renee." And then I said, "Hi, Zach," and I continued doing what I was doing. Then he got up and I didn't see where he went, but he apparently went out the front door again.
As of news time, Fairbanks police do confirm they have a person of interest in custody being questioned.
He's currently in custody here at the department where we're interviewing him, and we're hoping to have a little bit of information here later this afternoon.
Now, Fairbanks police have confirmed the identity of Zach T. Rose as the suspect arrested, and he has been charged with robbery in the 1st degree as well as theft in the 2nd degree. All of the credit union's money stolen was recovered.
The Consumer Protection Unit of the Alaska Department of Law has received reports that an entity called Corporate Record Service has mailed solicitations that say Alaska businesses are required to complete the statement with a payment of $125. However, Alaska businesses are not required to respond. The forms provided in the letter are not valid, yet people may misinterpret the official-looking documents. Any official statement or request will clearly indicate its origin by displaying the state seal and the name of Governor Sean Parnell.
State and federal authorities continue to investigate the cause of an explosion Saturday afternoon in the West Fairbanks area. No injuries were reported in the blast that occurred at about 4:15 p.m. at a makeshift shooting range near Heathway and Gateway Streets. There was no damage to nearby homes, and troopers and other agencies are trying to determine the cause of the strong blast.
The explosion was of such force that it actually affected 12 residences in the area. All had multiple items falling off the walls. At least half of the residents affected had things like windows being blown out or vents shifting. The Alaska State Troopers and the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives are continuing to investigate the matter.
Well, it's never a dull moment in Fairbanks, apparently.
Never a dull moment.
Yeah,
explosions,
absolutely.
robberies.
Yeah, and you know what?
Weather.
Yeah, good weather at that, too. Mike Schultz joining us now with our first look at our week weather. Mike?
The weather was kind of dull this weekend, not a whole lot going on, but actually pretty nice to get out and get a lot of activities going on. A little light snow today, but you know what? Looking at the latest radars, we zoom in around the Fairbanks area, you see all of it leaving us. It's all moving off to the east, looking like a little bit of a clearing trend behind it, but we're getting more coming our direction. We got a pretty good flow of moisture moving in from the southwest, so we got little bands of moisture bringing some light snow here and there. In the lower 48, they've got a lot of cold temperatures to talk about. We'll talk about all the weather later on. Joe, Stephanie?
That
Very
was
well.
some good look of weather.
Yeah, good look, good outlook. When we come back, Senator Lisa Murkowski releases a new energy plan.
And more on a woman accused of embezzling money from the Fairbanks Hospital Foundation. Stay with us.
This edition of the Fairbanks Evening News is brought to you by Northland Hearing Services. Better hearing with a human touch.
Welcome back to the Fairbanks Evening News. Alaska U.S. Senator Lisa Murkowski says a national energy plan should cut harmful greenhouse gas emissions, but should not simply raise the price of petroleum to reduce consumption. Murkowski says the cost of heating homes in rural Alaska can be 50% of a person's income, and she's not going to be the senator who tells her state's residents that they must pay even more. In a speech today, she unveiled her, quote, blueprint for discussion, end quote, of a national energy plan. The senator calls for additional petroleum development in places such as Alaska's Arctic National Wildlife Refuge and setting aside some of the revenue for clean energy that could lower emissions. She said half the lights going out at Sunday's Super Bowl game were a prime example of the needs for energy plans.
Last night, as I was going through my homework and getting ready for this rollout today, I had no idea as I was watching the Super Bowl what a gift that 34 minutes of the Superdome being dark would be in terms of educating people in this country about energy and energy reliability.
A follow-up to a story we aired this past Saturday. A 40-year-old local woman has been charged with felony theft in the second degree after allegedly embezzling nearly $13,000 from her nonprofit employer. Shelley Lee Comreed, former employee of the Greater Fairbanks Community Hospital Foundation, stands accused of linking her personal bank account to a PayPal internet-based payment account used by the foundation. Comreed worked as an administrative assistant. Foundation officials contacted news media once they decided to pursue criminal charges. They say they've known about the missing money since December and conducted an internal investigation which led to Comreed's confession. The foundation has since changed their online donation processes. Comreed has been issued a summons to face charges in court. President Obama took his push for stricter gun laws on the road today in Minneapolis. The White House says the president chose Minneapolis because the city has taken what it calls important steps to reduce gun violence and foster a conversation in the community about what further action is needed. In remarks to the group, President Obama called his gun proposals a common sense approach to reduce gun violence.
We may not be able to prevent every massacre or random shooting. No law or set of laws can keep our children completely safe. But if there's even one thing we can do, if there's just one life we can save, we've got an obligation to try.
Back in the nation's largest state, a resolution opposing the Obama administration's executive actions on gun control has been officially introduced to an Alaska Senate panel. SJR 6 urges the White House to refrain from any further actions that would restrict the ownership of firearms. It also asks Congress to make sure that the Second Amendment is protected from any executive actions that might circumvent it. The resolution refers to the Second Amendment as, quote, our most fundamental right, end quote. Senator Fred Dyson, the resolution's sponsor, introduced SJR 6 to the Senate Judiciary Committee today. He believes the steps taken by the Obama administration are an intrusion on the authority of the state. The Alaska Attorney General testified before state lawmakers Friday about the governor's proposed sex crimes bill. Michael Garrity said he hoped his appearance would help convey the bill's importance. He spoke before the House Judiciary Committee on HB 73. The bill provides stiffer penalties for sex offenders, expands the tools that lawyers have at their disposal to prosecute those accused of sex crimes, and creates harsher sentences. The measure also sets tougher penalties for those accused of sex trafficking, which over the years has been found to have occurred in most parts of the state.
I think Fairbanks would have, the same type of issues that Anchorage does. It is a hub of sort, for some of the villages in northern Alaska, western Alaska to some extent. So, but nothing singular that would stand out in our research, or nothing that would suggest that it's anything less of an issue there.
We're really tight right here.
Tight-knit group.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh man, this weekend, what a blast in sports. That was just crazy.
It was a lot going on,
yeah,
man. I mean, you had the Interior and the Super Bowl. That was a big game, but a high school hockey team won a championship they haven't won in a while, just like the Ravens.
Right.
And UConn Quest start this weekend as well. We'll have that and much more coming up in sports.
Brought to you by the Law Office of Rita T. Alley. Peace of mind through professional legal services.
Hello, Interior Alaska. Joe Cook here, still recovering from my 49ers losing yesterday. But besides the Super Bowl, there were other big games in the Interior. So let's start the weekend recap. It was the best hockey game I've seen. I mean, two rivals, big plays, physicality, even controversy. Everything needed for a classic game. And the 4A Mid-Alaska Conference Championship was just that, a classic. The scoring started early with West Valley scoring 2 goals in the first period, one by Gabe Rankin and the other by Eric Weber. The Malamutes, though, they would come back in the second period, first with Connor Nielsen from the blue line, and then Cameron Walker, hey, he would knock in a close one. It's tied at 2-2. Both goalies played well. Heroic save after heroic save. So we fast forward to double overtime. Lathrop in front of the net, and you got a score. It's over, or was it? The refs waved it off because the puck was kicked in, so there was no goal. West Valley's Chris Nikolai would score shortly after that, and he puts it away, and that's it. It's over. The Wolfpack celebrate, ending their MAC title drought.
Walk me through that last play, man, the game winner.
I don't know. I was just going hard to the net and came out to me, and I just let it all go on one shot. Emotional roller coaster. I mean, they tied it up, and we got a lucky break, and we just had to pull this one off.
The all-tournament team was announced. Blake Wade of North Pole, Ty Basin of Juneau Douglas, Lathrop's Connor Nielsen, and Max Blankenship were selected. West Valley had 4 selections: Matt Taylor, Eric Weber, Zach Saveride, and Ty Munson, who was sidelined due to an illness. The state playoffs are set, and West Valley gets Diamond, while Lathrop will face South Anchorage. And also in the Greatland Conference, Hutchinson and Monroe, they will lock horns again, and Houston and Delta Junction will also face off. In the 4A State Wrestling Championships this weekend, West Valley's Dady Agnew took home the state title in the 126-pound weight class. Agnew, a senior, goes out on top, finishing with a 36-1 record. He won 15-9 over Eddie Burris, a senior out of Kodiak. Agnew was the only interior finalist to get an individual championship. South Anchorage won the team title at 226 points. North Pole finished 6th at 126, leading all interior teams. North Pole's Gage Wright, Moo Rogers, Lathrop's Sam Zimmerman, and West Valley's Highland Story finished in 2nd in their respective weight classes. Congrats to Agnew and to all the interior wrestlers. And now the Naniks basketball team couldn't get a pair of wins, consecutive wins, with their homestand in the Patty Center after beating Northwest Nazarene on Thursday. Central Washington held off the Naniks 71-54, powered by GNAC leading scorer Matt McLaughlin's game-high 24 points. The Naniks had 19 turnovers, and it cost them. The Wildcats hit 22 points off the miscues. The Naniks made a run, cutting it to 40-37, but Central scored 11 in a row. And McLaughlin, man, he went off in the second half with 18 points to delay any UAF comeback. Ronnie Baker led the Naniks with 10 points. The Naniks are now in 5th place in the GNAC behind Central and have a 3-game road trip. The last game is at UAA. And the women's team, they also lost this time to number 13 Simon Fraser, 71-55. The Naniks are on a 10-game losing streak. Nano Raincock Acunier led all players with 26 points and 16 rebounds for the Clan. The Naniks Taylor Altenberg got her first double-double of the year with 16 points and 10 boards. The Nooks host Montana State Billings on Thursday. And the Naniks have come back down to earth a bit, the hockey team, after their road trip to Miami and Oxford, Ohio, ended in a sweep. Friday, the Redhawks won 4-1, and on Saturday, a 6-2 win. In Saturday's game, Nick Yaremchuk tied the game at 2-2, but the Redhawks scored 3 unanswered goals to pull away. Miami gets the season sweep of UAF, outscoring the Naniks 19-5. The sweep vaults Miami to number 1, the CCHA. UAF drops to 6th in the conference, and 13th in the pairwise rankings. The next series is against Ohio State in the Carlson Center. And it was not a good weekend for the Ice Dogs, who were swept in 3 games by West Division leader Wenatchee Wild. After the Ice Dogs lost the first 2 games, the last went to the limit, but the Wild won in the shootout 4-3. Fairbanks was down 3-2 in the third, but Doug Rose tied it at 3, forcing overtime. The Ice Dogs went scoreless in the shootout, with the game winner going to the Wild on their first chance. Fairbanks is now 6 points back for Wenatchee in the West. The Ice Dogs' next 6 games are against rival Kenai. And one of the biggest sports events of the year started Saturday, the 30th running of the Yukon Quest. The race is shorter this year by 50 miles, which is about 12 hours because part of the route from over American Summit was ruled impassable by race officials because of winds and snow. The detour will be between Dawson and Eagle along the Yukon River. After 3 days of racing, here's the current leaderboard. All veterans in the top 4 checking in at Stepping Stone checkpoint. Lance Mackey is in the top 10, checking in at Pelly Crossing. 3 rookies are bunched up at 10 through 12. Rookie Cody Straith out of Fairbanks is currently in 11th place. And that'll do it for sports tonight. Thanks for rocking with me for a little while. And stay cool, Alaska. Mike Schultz has your full weather forecast coming up next, and we'll catch you next time.
Welcome back to Fairbanks Evening News. Mike Schultz with you once again for a look at the weather. And yesterday was the Super Bowl, so why not have a picture of some folks out of the Chino Lakes area enjoying the Super Bowl? We Alaskans are hardy, and you can see there, folks are enjoying themselves pretty good. Again, if you have a photograph to share, send it to Mike Schultz at KTVF11.com. Here's what's going on at the airport right now. 12 degrees after a high of 16. The low last night, 5. Record high, 1941, 42 degrees that day. Record low, 56 below at 1947. Sunrise, 9:26. Sunset, 4:47, which is 7 hours and 20 minutes of beautiful sunshine, a gain of 7 more minutes from yesterday. Here's our satellite pictures. You can see, as I was telling you earlier, the moisture moving out of the interior. Still some moisture hanging around the south central regions, and that's going to be moving up our direction as this next frontal system starts to move our direction. What's going on across the rest of the state? Well, over southeast Alaska, things have cleared up very nicely. Cleared of partly cloudy skies around Juneau and Ketchikan. Not too bad in Anchorage. Clear skies there. Cloudy skies at Kodiak. Up and down the west coast, a little fog in the interior. Clouds around Nome, and clear and cold at Barrow, 16 below. Fort Yukon, cloudy skies 1 degree above. Lower 48 weather tonight, fairly quiet. A little bit of rain falling over the Pacific Northwest. Some light snow around Minneapolis. Still some lingering showers across the deep south and bayou country on the satellite and radar. You can see the system moving out of the picture. Nothing really heavy associated with it. More lake effect snows moving across the Great Lakes. Another system moving in the Pacific Northwest. What's it all mean for tomorrow? Well, this storm system will bring lots of rain and wind over the Pacific Northwest, and the overall jet stream for later on this week showing that it diving down to the south, bringing some rain over California, and then becoming zonal, moving across from the west to the east. Light snow over the north and showers to the south. Back to Alaska for tomorrow. The northern sections, very cold for Barrow, 20 below for their high. Light snow at Nome, some snow at Fort Yukon. Here in the interior, we'll be looking at snow slowly ending at Fairbanks and Cold Bay. Tomorrow's forecast for southeast Alaska looks like mostly cloudy with some showers in Juneau and rain moving back into Ketchikan. Over the southwest part of the state, we'll be looking at some snow at Bethel, mainly cloudy skies in Kodiak and Cold Bay, and over the south central regions around the Anchorage Bowl, cloudy skies at Anchorage and Homer, and partly cloudy skies in Valdez. Well, it's a new week, which means it's time once again for our kids' weather and a new class this week. This one from Two Rivers Elementary School. A couple of guys sharing a weather story for you tonight.
It just snowed 2 inches, and it was very warm, which made the ice so slippery that you could almost skate on the road. The snow was so packed as if it was hard as ice. That's about it. That's about it. The whole story about the weather on that icy winter day.
And tomorrow night, we'll have 2 young ladies sharing a weather picture with you. Here's our forecast for the remainder of the night. 6 below for the overnight low, cloudy skies, occasional snow showers. Tomorrow's forecast, morning snow showers becoming cloudy by afternoon, 8 degrees. And the extended forecast calling for temperatures to be pretty consistent right on through the rest of the week. Some snow showers once again back in the picture for Wednesday and Thursday. And then again on Saturday. Overnight lows also very comfortable for this time of year. Only 5 below, daytime highs in the teens above. That's very nice this time of year.
Yeah.
So they were tailgating outside.
I knew you were going to say that. I saw your face.
Yeah.
I knew you were just shocked. They had
Probably ice fishing. Most likely ice fishing.
Yeah, probably that too.
That's
Yeah.
a first. That's
All
a first
right.
for you.
Very good. All right, that'll wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We are glad you could join us.
Tonight on NBC Nightly News, a question everybody wants to know. What knocked out the lights at the Super Bowl? That's next with Brian Williams.
Probably San Francisco 49er fans. And if you see news or have an idea for a story, you can call our newsroom at 458-1830.
Did you do it, Mike?
I would like to, yeah. From all of us here at the News Center, we'll see you back here at 11 o'clock. Have a good night.